Alright everybody, straight up disclaimer on one, this is a dark and disturbing video. Today we're going to be talking about SA, trafficking, and how it's having an effect on One Piece, the most popular anime in the world, as well as Saze-san, the longest running anime in the world, and some other anime that maybe got pulled up or down by it. Also, because I'm strolling into the dark end of the internet here, I'm taking a risk making this video, and there's a chance that this video gets taken down or demonetized. If it does, I'll let you guys know, and it'll be uncensored on my Patreon. If anyone wants it, please ask me, because I won't upload it until it is taken down. I'll also be heavily censoring this version on hopefully trying to reduce the chance it gets taken down. So once again, if you want it uncensored, let me know. You can buy it on Patreon, I guess. So this was originally part of that anime news update I did a few days ago, but I broke it off because it's a darker and more disturbing story containing sexual assault. This is our main story today, and it's a story that's so huge it had to be its own video. I also kind of didn't want to do it because honestly, it's taken me months to fully comprehend this story because so much of this information took place deeply in Japan, was only in Japanese, and I've been slowly soaking it up over the months through secondhand information on the Japanese side of the internet. So I'm triple checking my information here because the whole problem with the story is there's a lot of different people with a lot of different explanations of it, and I've been hearing it all secondhand from Japanese randos who always just assume I'm an Japanese person living in Japan and have a full understanding of it, and I kind of don't. But anyway, yeah. By the way, I spent like a day learning how to film and animate Google Earth for this video, so enjoy. I got some really cool camera angles. Alright, so let me try to explain this to you because I got into this very innocently and very lightly because I perceive this in a way that no one else did. Look at this building. This looks like a fun building, right? This is a strange building. It's one of the most unique buildings in Tokyo because it's this building with a variety of escalators and bridges all leading to this strange UFO-like object in the center. Now, this building is the headquarters of Fuji TV. It's located on the western edge of Tokyo Bay, overlooking Tokyo, and it was designed by the extremely old but extremely famous architect Kenzo Tange, a man who designed a lot of famous buildings in Tokyo in his lifetime, such as Shinjuku Tower. Now, Fuji TV has always been a weird building for me because honestly, it's one of the main buildings I remember when I think of Japan. It's probably the first building I think of. And I always remember this building because the first time I saw it, I was 12 years old, and I saw it in the most traumatic way possible. See? Has anyone ever seen the first season of Digimon? Okay, spoilers for the first season of Digimon that came out in 1997. There's this character named Wizardmon who's super fucking cool, and he dies here. And so whenever I'm in Tokyo and I see this building, the first thing I think of like immediately is like, Jesus Christ, Wizardmon died there. Yeah, apparently the building was brand new at the time. It like opened up in 1997 then was immediately featured in Digimon. And as I got older, I gained sort of an appreciation for Fuji TV for what they'd done for Japan and for the world at large. Like, they're one of the oldest and largest TV networks in Japan, and they can be quickly identified by their icon, which is a distinctive, poorly drawn eyeball with 3 eyelashes on it. And like personally, I did think they've done a lot of cool and good things over the years. Like I found out that they were a producer for like a lot of the original 1980s Nintendo games in Japan, and like it's because of them that like Super Mario Bros. 2 happened because they commissioned the original game it's based on, Doki Doki Panic. They also commissioned this weird Mario hack named All Night Nippon Mario Brothers, where the Goombas are just replaced by radio DJs. That never caught on, but it is weird that happened. I also learned that Fuji TV is one of the major producers behind David Productions, which has created like 2 really, really good animes that I've watched in the multiple years recently. Anyway, the network has apparently had its share of scandals as well. They were definitely involved in a couple of scandals about 15 years ago, mostly relating to their treatment of Koreans in Japan. First, there was this issue where they interviewed Koreans in Japan and just completely lied about what the Koreans were saying to make it seem like they were racist against Japan. But then after that, they tried to reverse it by earning some karma back by airing a bunch of K-dramas as a weird apology, except this ironically then angered the opposite group of people, a large group of anti-Korean racists, who I guess were a silent majority up to then, but were fully against the channel's Korean agenda. And then there was a mini boycott in like 2010 to like try and stop the Korean shows, and I guess that situation just kind of fizzled over and went away. Anyway, yeah, Fuji TV is a place, and I don't think about Fuji TV really that often unless I'm in Tokyo, until this year when I saw a lot of people starting a meme that the building was going out of business, and then the meme was just, guess what's going to happen to it next? Because it's such a crazy, weird, and specific building with like this one specific purpose. Some people were joking that you could turn it into a disco or a water park. A big joke was that you could turn it into a 7-Eleven because 7-Eleven is like Spirit Halloween in Japan when it comes to taking over abandoned buildings. There were also people online pointing out that it resembled the Silph Co from Smash Brothers, and then there was a big movement to turn it into Japan's biggest Pokemon center. And the most popular meme was the building was going to be taken over by Dr. Wily and become a Dr. Wily castle, an endless death maze that only Mega Man could conquer, where he'll have to refight all 8 robot masters at the same time, as well as Dr. Wily's strongest creation. Now, fun jokes aside, the reason Fuji TV is going out of business is actually really insane. Now, I don't want to undercut the story short because it comes down to harassment, trafficking, and assault. But long story short, it all starts with this boy band named SMAP. SMAP was this big boy band in the 1990s. They were like the Japanese equivalent of the Backstreet Boys. They're from about the same time period. Their most famous song goes like, bang, 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 shooby-dooby-doo-doo, baby. So yeah, it's 1990s boy band pop. Anyway, though, the 1990s were 30 years ago, and they all got old and they broke up. Actually, they didn't break up until 2015, which is actually a crazy long run for a boy band. Can they really still be a boy band when all the members are pushing 40? Anyway, since they broke up and they don't do music anymore, one of the members, Masahiro Nakai, became an actor, and he eventually acted in so many things that he built up enough clout as an actor that he was able to land a permanent job at Fuji TV just doing whatever. Or at least he did until last year. Now, every boy band member must someday face their like child death and like become an old man, but he never grew out of that immature boy band fantasy of like nailing different women every day of the year, and that all led to this big scandal. And here's the part with scandal. Now, as I'm realizing today, as I'm looking deeper into it, there's actually so many multiple he said, she said, internet said narratives here, and I have to like read through all of them to kind of like figure out what's real and what's not, and paint something of a picture here that at the very least we know something was rotten at Fuji TV. There's just a few different routes to reach what the core of the rot was. So the hard facts here that we know for sure are Nakai did a sex crime on a female employee who worked at Fuji TV. They took it to court. Some of the details were aired in court, but not all of them. They went to court and he lost. He gave her a completely apologetic $600,000, no harm, no foul payoff. And Nakai was entirely canceled in Japan over this. Like, no one wanted anything to do with him anymore. Any movie he appeared in got deleted from like the public libraries. In the tabloid narrative, which people first believed, apparently Nakai and his producer were supposed to have this like dinner date, and this random woman was supposed to go there to like take notes, but then the producer didn't show up, only the random woman, and then Nakai took advantage of the situation by getting the woman drunk and running off with her in the night. And then yeah, more women came out of the woodwork who added that Fuji TV had been doing shitty stuff like this for years. On top of that, like there was apparently very much this policy at Fuji TV that any woman who worked there at any time, even if she was like the lowliest office secretary or the janitor or like a tough and gritty war correspondent, would have to one day out of the year play beauty queen at like a company event where they would be treated like a hostess, and they would have to like, you know, entertain guests and get them drunk, like everything that a Japanese hostess bar would do. But the employees are not hostesses and they're not used to that, and they were super complaining that the events were dehumanizing. And it seemed like the implication here was that their bosses were encouraging them to put out, to use them as like a bargaining chip, often using them as pawns in this game of corporate chess. So yeah, that's all fucked. And then the situation got even more worse when even more senior employees chimed in that actually this had been completely normal policy at the network for decades, with proof of it happening being able to be regularly confirmed all the way back to the 1980s. And the only reason they couldn't confirm it to the 1970s was because there weren't any living employees from the 1970s. Then this got even murkier as internet rumors started flowing around that the whole reason this happened in the first place was just that Nakai was an absolute sex fiend who got addicted to sex in his boy band rockstar days because he had so many groupies when he was like a teenager. And Fuji TV apparently tried to constantly facilitate that lifestyle to him by delivering him sex escorts, which is pretty much the most sensational rumor because it paints Nakai as a sex addicted monster, and it implies that Fuji TV was just like, well, this is why he needs to be happy. So they organized a sex trafficking ring just for this one guy. And yeah, that's shitty. Now back to the court case, the woman accepted the cash settlement and she vanished from the public eye because she took an agreement of silence. But nonetheless, through the court case and through like public records, a lot of dirty details about the sexual harassment at Fuji TV and stuff the TV station had done was aired out in the public all throughout this case. And people decided that they were fed up with this guy. This guy was a rapist, and more to the fact, they weren't just fed up with him, they were furious at Fuji TV for creating this pipeline where this guy could just be fed women to endlessly appease his weird appetite. So yeah, even though this guy was out of a job, the Japanese public took this as a pivotal moment that they had to like look into this and this had to end. There was this massive investigation into not just Fuji TV, but every TV station in Japan. And they decided that Fuji TV had to individually be punished for this because Fuji TV still had a bunch of sketchy people working there who weren't fired and who were able to create, excuse, and ignore this elaborate sex trafficking network that was set up for this one dude. So about a year ago, a large number of people just got together around winter and decided that they were going to boycott Fuji TV, one of the biggest stations in Japan. It's like if everyone in America decided to like collectively boycott NBC or Fox in America. Like Fuji TV is one of the oldest, biggest networks in Japan. It dates back to the inception of television, and it is the network that One Piece airs on. So it's actually a really, really big deal that all these different shows are being starved out by this. All right, now I'm going to talk about how it affected anime because that's what actually people were asking me about in the first place. I've been debating publishing the story for a few months because all the crimes just kind of icked me out. I did look into it today and I did find that One Piece was affected by the boycott slightly. It was never in danger of being canceled. I'm not even sure if it had to cancel any episodes or tighten its budget or anything, but when the boycott happened, Fuji TV had no commercials. All of those commercials are paid for by advertisers, and without commercials, there's no ad revenue. And apparently the only thing keeping One Piece on the air at that time was Bandai Namco being their backer. Bandai Namco apparently went hard on selling One Piece merchandise internationally to like make up for the boycott. What's interesting is I've noticed in the past year, Bandai Namco has actually done a lot of pop-up shops for Gundam and One Piece, and I thought that was just like an offensive marketing strategy in the West, but apparently it was a little bit put into play as a result and a reaction to the boycott and the loss of ad revenue. So that's kind of interesting that I overall enjoyed those events, but that's kind of crazy that the whole reason those events happened was because of a boycott over a sex scandal. So yeah, Bandai Namco basically saved One Piece here. That's one way you can look at it. Some other anime affected were Saze-san, the longest running anime ever, and Chibi Maruko-san. Maruko-san, instead of airing commercials, apparently just aired a meme of the main character doing a shocked Pikachu face, which is kind of funny. Saze-san apparently still had commercials for the Hasegawa Machiko Art Museum, who apparently had bought years of commercials in advance with Fuji TV, but then everyone got mad at them for violating the boycott, but they apparently like came out and said they had no way to cancel the deal, the prepaid contract they had, because they had negotiated this contract to go on for decades. A couple of minor shows did get canceled or had to go on hiatus until the advertising boycott was over. There was one single anime that did benefit from the boycott. There was apparently a live-action remake of this 2018 manga called Under Ninja, which was short for Underemployed Ninja. This movie apparently violated the boycott, and it ended up having a massive success because it was the only thing that had commercials running on the channel. So everyone saw commercials for that and was like, yeah, I guess we'll go see that. Anyway, so the boycott's in the news again this month because apparently about 2 months ago, there was this massive press conference where the president of the network like basically did like a 10-hour apology, and he finally resigned after that, as well as like 4 of his like closest executives. And as a result of that, as a result of those people stepping down, and as a result of everything else, people decided enough was enough. The boycott's officially been sort of called off this week. It's not been officially called off, but people are just kind of like silently starting to advertise again. So that's where we're at. The whole point of the boycott was for them to punish Fuji TV for feeding criminal women. And I don't really know if they've learned a lesson from that. I don't really know if anything's changed. more to the point, when I've dug into the issue on the Japan side and asked around, the prevailing sentiment just seems to be that if a business that big is asked to provide a celebrity an escort, life is going to find a way. It's going to happen. Someone's going to make it happen. So it definitely seems to be a cultural problem that sex work is just common in Japan, although this is the first time that a major company has really been punished for facilitating it. And then there's a broader discussion about just like the quality of life that women have in Japan and like sex harassment culture. And even though the corruption at Fuji TV was exposed, the shameful reality is that all these other TV networks are probably doing the same thing. It's just Fuji TV got caught with their pants down because one woman took this one man to court and then the court aired a bunch of their dirty laundry. So I guess that's the end of the story. Now that the boycott is over, it does seem like Fuji TV is eventually going to bounce back. It will probably just take some time. It doesn't seem like they're going out of business, although that was like possible, I want to say even 2 months ago, but it seems like they're going to bounce back. All right, so I'm going to leave this one up to you in the comments. What do you think about this? Do you care? Is it awful? Let me know, because there are some other Asian crime stories I've thought about covering, but it's not usually my thing. And honestly, going to like these dark and disturbing places really like makes me uncomfortable. So I don't super love doing this. The main reason I made this video is because it won the poll by like an overwhelming majority. So I kind of had to at that point. All right. Yeah. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'm going to go do something else later.